A few years ago, I made a big deal with a supplier from China. It was supposed to be the biggest business move of my life, but things didn't go as planned. The supplier duped me, took all my money, and disappeared. Since then, I have been struggling to keep things together. My business fell apart, and I have barely been able to survive. In the heart of Umezani, a village in the southeastern part of Nigeria, there lived a young man named Akobozo. He was the kind of person everyone admired, not just for his good looks, but also for his kind heart. Akobozo was tall, handsome, and always smartly dressed. His outfits were the finest, and his car was top of the village, sleek and beautiful, just like the man who drove it. Akobozo was born into a wealthy family, so he never lacked anything growing up. But what made him truly special was not his wealth, it was his kindness. Akobozo enjoyed life to the fullest. He loved having fun, throwing big parties that everyone in the village looked forward to. He was known for his love for travel, always visiting exciting places and coming back with tales of adventures that left people in shock. But despite all the fun and excitement, Akobozo never forgot the importance of helping others. He was generous to a fault, always ready to lend a helping hand to those in need. He often said, "I want to be remembered as someone who made a difference in the world, not just as a rich man." Akobozo was a successful businessman. He dealt in the importation of Spanish towels, a business that made him quite popular. People came from far and wide to buy from him because they knew they could trust him to provide only the best. His business was thriving, and his name was well known beyond the borders of Umwezane. Despite his success, Akobozo remained humble and never forgot the value of friendship. He had three best friends, Ugochukwu, Nwabweze, and Kosisochukwu. The four of them had been inseparable since childhood. They had grown up together, sharing everything from toy to dreams of the future. But while Akobozo's business was flourishing, his friends were not lucky. Ugochukwu, Nwabweze, and Kosisochukwu were all in business too, but things weren't going well for them. Their businesses were struggling, and they often find themselves in tough situations. One sunny afternoon, Akobozo decided to visit his friends. He drove to Ugochukwu's house first. Ugochukwu was outside, trying to fix his old bicycle. When he saw Akobozo's car pull up, his face lighted up with a smile. "Akobozo, my brother," Ugochukwu called out as he wiped his hand on his worn-out trousers. "What brings you here today?" "I came to see you, of course," Akobozo replied, stepping out of his car. "Why are you struggling with this your old bicycle? Come on, let's go somewhere and relax." Ugochukwu laughed. "This old thing is giving me more trouble than it's worth, but I can't afford a new one right now." "Don't worry about that," Akobozo said, patting his friend on the shoulder. "Let's go and pick up Nwabeze and Kosisochukwu. We will have a nice time together." They drove off to Nwabeze's house. Nwabeze was sitting under a tree, deep in thought, when Akobozo and Ugochukwu arrived. He looked up, surprised to see them. "Akobozo, Ugochukwu, what are you doing here?" Nwabeze asked as he stood up to greet them. "We are here to cheer you up, my friend," Akobozo said with a smile. "Come with us, we are going out to have some fun." Nwabeze hesitated for a moment. "I don't know, Akobozo. Things has been tough lately. I'm not sure I'm in the mood." "That's exactly why we need you to come with us," Ugochukwu chimed in. "We all need a break from our worries." Nwabeze finally agreed, and they headed to Kosisochukwu's place. Kosiso was the most cheerful of the group, always quick with a joke or a laugh. But even him had been feeling the weight of the struggling business. When he saw his friends at his door, his face brightened. "Ah, my brothers," Coach Sochukwu exclaimed. "What a surprise! Where are we off to today?" "Anywhere that will lift our spirits." Akubuzo replied with a grin. "Come on, let's go and enjoy ourselves." The four friends drove to a small restaurant on the outskirts of the village. It was a quiet place, perfect for catching up and relaxing. They found a table by the window side, and as they sat down, Akubuzo ordered food and drinks for everyone. As they waited for their meal, Ugochukwu sighed and said, "Akubuzo, you are always so generous. You never let us feel bad about our situation. You are like a brother to us." Nwabeze added, "We can always count on you." Kosi Sochukwu, the ever-joker, laughed and said, "If it wasn't for you, Akubuzo, we would probably be eating roasted corn by the roadside right now." Akubuzo chuckled, but then looked at his friend seriously. "Listen," he said, "I don't want you to feel bad about your businesses. Everyone has tough times. I'm just glad I can help when you need it. We are friends, and friends support each other, right?" The others nodded, appreciating Akubuzo's word. They knew he meant every word he said. Despite his wealth, Akubuzo never looked down on them. Instead, he always treated them with respect and kindness. As the food arrived and they began to eat, the conversation turned to lighter topics. They laughed and joked, recalling about their childhood days and the mischief they used to get into. For a while, it felt like old times, with no worries or problems. Just four friends enjoying each other's company. After the meal, when it was time to pay, Akubuzo, as usual, reached for the bill, but this time, his friends tried to stop him. "Akubuzo, you have done enough," Ugochukwu said, placing his hand on the bill. "Let us at least contribute something." "Nonsense," Akubuzo replied with a smile, shaking his head. "I invited you all, so I'm taking care of everything. Besides, I promise to always look out for you. One day, we will repay your kindness," Nwabeze said, his voice filled with determination. "Things will get better for us, and we will make sure to do the same for you." "I know you will," Akubuzo said with a smile, "but until then, let's just enjoy today." As they left that restaurant and drove back to Umwezani, the bond between them felt stronger than ever. Akubuzo knew that true friendship wasn't about who had the most money or who was the most successful. It was about being there for each other, through good times and bad. And he was grateful to have friends who understood that. When they finally dropped off each friend at their home, Akubuzo headed back to his own house. As he parked his car in the driveway, he thought about his parents, who had passed away when he was still young. They had taught him the importance of kindness and generosity, values he carried with him every day. Even though he was the only child and had lost his parents, Akubuzo never felt alone because he had his friends, his brothers. As he walked into the house, Akubuzo smiled to himself, feeling content. He knew he was doing what his parents would have wanted him, living a life that made a difference. As long as he had his friends by his side, he knew that he was truly rich, not just in wealth, but in love and friendship. A few weeks later, Akubuzo was relaxing alone in his house. The sun was beginning to set, and the golden ray filtered through the curtains. In his living room, he had just finished a long day at work and was now settled comfortably on his plush sofa, watching his favorite TV show. The room was quiet, save for the soft hum of the television. Akubuzo was enjoying his peaceful moment, thinking about how nice it was to unwind after a busy day. Suddenly, his phone rang, breaking a serene atmosphere. Akubuzo picked it up. Seeing that it was Ugochukwu calling, he smiled and answered, expecting a friendly chat. But soon, as he heard Ugochukwu's voice, he knew something was wrong. Akubuzo, Ugochukwu said, his voice shaky with concern. You need to come quickly. It's Nwabeze. He's not feeling well at all. Akubuzo immediately sat up straight, his heart pounding. What happened? Is he okay? He asked, already reaching his car keys. I'm not sure. He's been sick for a while now, but today got worse. He's really weak and I'm worried, Ugochukwu explained, without wasting any second. Akubuzo was out of the door, heading to his car. I'm on my way, he said before hanging up. He drove as fast as he could. The road seemed longer than usual as worry filled his mind. Nwabweze had always been a strong person, so hearing that he was in a bad state made Akubuzo anxious. When he arrived at Nwabweze's house, Kosi, Ugo, was already there. Thank God you are here, Akubuzo, Ugochukwu said as soon as he saw him. Nwabweze is inside. He looks really bad. Akubuzo hurried inside and found Nwabweze lying on the couch, his face pale and his body trembling slightly. Nwabweze tried to smile when he saw Akubuzo, but it was clear that he was in a lot of pain. Hello, Nwabweze, Akubuzo said softly, kneeling beside him. I'm here now, don't worry. We are going to take care of you. Nwabweze tried to speak, but his voice was weak. Akubuzo, I don't feel so good, he managed to say. Akubuzo placed a comforting hand on Nwabweze's shoulder. You are going to be fine, my friend. I'm calling a doctor right now, he assured him. Akubuzo quickly took out his phone and called his family doctor, Dr. Okoro. He explained the situation, and within minutes, Dr. Okoro was on his way. While they waited, Akubuzo stayed by Nwabweze's side, with Kosi talking to him gently and trying to keep him calm. Ugochukwu brought a wet cloth to place on Nwabweze's forehead, and together they did their best to make him comfortable. When Dr. Okoro arrived, he immediately examined Nwabweze. He asked questions, checked his temperature, and ran some quick tests. After a while, Dr. Okoro looked up at Akubuzo and Ugochukwu, his expression serious. Nwabweze has a severe case of typhoid and malaria, Dr. Okoro explained. It seems he had it for a long while, and that made it got much worse. Akubuzo felt a wave of fear over him. Is he going to be okay? He asked urgently. Dr. Okoro nodded. He will be fine, but we need to start treatment immediately. He's very weak, and if we don't act fast, it could become more serious. Do whatever you need to do, doctor, Akubuzo said firmly. I don't want anything to happen to my friend. I will take care of all the expenses. Just make sure he gets better. Dr. Okoro nodded and got to work. He set up IV drip for Nwabweze and applied medications to start fighting the infections. He also gave instructions on how to care for Nwabweze over the next few days. Akubuzo listened carefully, determined to do anything he could to help his friend recover. For the next few days, Akubuzo made sure that Nwabweze was never alone. He stayed by his side, making sure he took his medications on time and ate the right food to regain his strength. Nwabweze's girlfriend Adora also came to help. She stayed with Nwabweze, holding his hand, talking to him, and cheering him up, even when he felt too weak to respond. Her love and care were evident, and it warmed Akubuzo's heart to see how much she cared for Nwabweze. One evening, as Nwabweze was starting to feel a little better, He looked at Akubozo with gratitude in his eyes. "Thank you, Akubozo," he said, his voice still weak but filled with emotion. "I don't know what I would have done without you. You are truly a friend." Akubozo smiled and shook his head. "Don't mention it, Nwabueze. We are like brothers, and brothers take care of each other. I'm glad you are getting better." Adaora, who was sitting beside Nwabueze, also smiled. "You have been so amazing, Akubozo. Not everyone will go out of their way like you have. Nwabueze is lucky to have you as a friend." Ugochukwu and Kosisochukwu, who had been visiting every day to check on Nwabueze, nodded in agreement. "We all are lucky," he added. "It's not just about the money or the care, it's about the heart. And Akubozo, you have the biggest heart of all." Days passed, and slowly but surely, Nwabueze began to recover. The color returned to his cheeks, and his strength started to come back. He could sit up and talk more, and each day he felt a little stronger. Akubozo was there every step of the way, making sure Nwabueze had everything he needed. Finally, the day came when Dr. Okoro said that Nwabueze was out of danger. He still needed to rest and continue his medication. But the worst was over. Nwabueze was back on his feet again, and everyone was relieved. On the day Nwabueze was well enough to walk around, he insisted on thanking Akubozo properly. "Akubozo," he said, looking at his friend with deep appreciation, "you saved my life. You didn't just call the doctor. You stayed with me, cared for me, and made sure I got better. I can never repay you for what you have done." Akubozo smiled warmly. "You don't have to repay me, Nwabueze. Seeing you healthy again is all I need. We have been through so much together, and I'm just happy I could help." As they talked, Adaora joined them, wrapping her arms around Nwabueze. "And I'm grateful too, Akubozo. You have shown us true meaning of friendship." That evening, the four friends sat together, sharing stories and laughing like they used to before Nwabueze fell ill. The bond between them had grown even stronger through this experience, and they knew that no matter what challenges that came their way, they would always have each other's backs. As the night drew to a close, Akubozo looked at his friends and felt a deep sense of contentment. Life was unpredictable, but with friends like these, he knew that everything would always turn out alright. And in that moment, surrounded by the warmth of friendship and love, Akubozo knew that he had found something truly priceless. One beautiful morning in Umezani, the early sun shined brightly over the village, casting a warm glow over everything. The air was fresh, and the day promised to be a good one. Akubozo, as usual, was sitting in his shop, overseeing the daily activities. His shop was always busy, with customers coming in to buy the fine Spanish tiles he imported. As he sat there, a thought crossed his mind. One of his boys, who had been serving him faithfully for many years, was due for settlement. This boy, Chike, had worked tirelessly and with great honesty. He had been respectful to customers, always polite and helpful. Many customers even mentioned to Akubozo how much they liked Chike and how he made their shopping experience pleasant. Chike had been a good boy, Akubozo thought to himself. He deserved to be settled well. I believe he would do perfectly well when he starts his own business. That evening, as Akubozo sat down for dinner in his cozy dining room, another thought came to his mind. His three best friends, Ugochukwu, Nwabueze, and Kosisochukwu, were all hardworking men, but their businesses had been struggling for a while. Akubozo had always felt bad that his friends were facing challenges, especially because he knew they put in just as much effort as he did. As he slowly ate his meal, he thought deeply. I should do something to help them, he said aloud to himself. But I want it to be a surprise. He smiled to himself. Imagine the look on their faces when he would tell them about his plan. But first, he had to settle Chike. He wanted his friends to be part of the special moment. The next day, as the sun climbed higher in the sky, Akubuzo decided to call his friends. He picked up his phone and dialed Ugochukwu's number first. Hello, Ugochukwu. Akubuzo greeted warmly. Akubuzo, my brother, how are you? Ugochukwu responded with cheer. I'm doing well, my friend. I wanted to tell you something. One of my boys, Chike, is due for settlement. I plan to do it soon, and I would like you to be there with me. That's wonderful news, Akubuzo. Of course I will be there, Ugochukwu said with excitement. After speaking with Ugochukwu, Akubuzo called Nwabueze and Kosisochukwu. Both of them were equally happy to hear the news and promised to come. As Akubuzo hung up the phone after the last call, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. He was not only going to reward Chike for his loyalty, but also find a way to support his friends. This will be a new beginning for all of us, he thought. I want to make sure we all succeed together. With that, Akubuzo leaned back in his chair, imagining the day ahead. He was determined to make a difference in the life of those who matters most to him. The thought filled him with joy, and he couldn't wait for the day to come. A few days had passed, and the much anticipated day of Chike's settlement had finally arrived. It was also the day Akubuzo had planned a special surprise for his three best friends. The air was filled with excitement as Chike, along with his family and well-wishers, made their way to Akubuzo's house. The house was alive with activity as everyone gathered to witness the significant moment in Chike's life. Akubuzo welcomed everyone with a warm smile, his heart filled with joy. He had arranged everything meticulously, ensuring that Chike's settlement would be an occasion to remember. As the ceremony began, Akubuzo stood up and addressed the gathering. Today is a very special day, Akubuzo began, his voice steady and filled with emotion. Chike had served me faithfully for many years, and it's time for him to start his own journey. I am so proud of him, and I know he will do great things. With those words, Akubuzo handed Chike a large check. Chike's eyes widened in disbelief as he looked at the amount written on the check. It was more than he had ever dreamed of. Tears welled up in his eyes as he accepted the check with a trembling hand. Thank you, sir, Chike said, his voice choked with emotion. I don't know how to thank you enough for this. You have changed my life. Chike's family and friends, who had accompanied him, erupted in joy. They showered Akubuzo with praises and blessings. May this money lead Chike to a greater height, Chike's father said, placing his hand on Chike's shoulder. And may it always be well with you, Akubuzo. Your kindness will never be forgotten. Akubuzo smiled and nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. He then turned to the crowd and said, Please, everyone, let's celebrate this moment. There is plenty of food and drinks for all. The celebration was lively, with everyone enjoying the delicious food and drinks that Akubuzo had provided. Laughter and chatter filled the air as people congratulated Chike and shared in his happiness. After some time, Chike and his family thanked Akubuzo once more before they left, their hearts full of joy and gratitude. As the evening progressed, only Akubuzo and his three best friends, Ugochukwu, Nwabueze, and Kosisochukwu, remained in the house. Akubuzo looked at his friends, who had been with him through thick and thin. He could see the struggle in their eyes, even though they tried to hide it. "My friends," Akobuzor began, his tone serious yet gentle, "I have been thinking a lot about you all. I know how hard things has been for you, and it hurt me to see you people struggle." His friends exchanged glances, unsure of what to say. "Akobuzor, we know you care about us," Nwabueze finally spoke up, "but we don't want to be a burden to you." "Nwabueze, you can never be a burden," Akobuzor said firmly. "You are my friends, my brothers. I want everyone around me to be comfortable and happy." With that, Akobuzor reached out into his pocket and pulled out 3 checks. He handed one to each of his friends. "This is my little way of supporting your businesses," Akobuzor said, smiling warmly. "I believe in you, and I want to see you all succeed." For a moment, his friends were speechless. They looked at the check in their hands, then back to Akobuzor. The amount were more than enough to turn their struggling businesses around. "Akobuzor, we don't know what to say," Ugochukwu stammered, his voice filled with gratitude. "This means so much to us." Kosisochukwu nodded, tears brimming in his eyes. "You always been there for us, and now I can't even begin to express how grateful I am." Akobuzor smiled and put his arms around his friends. "You don't need to say anything. Just promise me that you will use this money wisely and turn your businesses around. I want us all to be successful together." His friends nodded, their hearts overflowing with gratitude and love for Akobuzor. They knew that with his help, they had a real chance to rebuild their businesses and secure their futures. As they sat together, enjoying the last of the evening, the bond between the 4 friends grew even stronger. They knew that no matter what challenges that lay ahead, they would always have each other's back, and with Akobuzor's support, they were confident that better days were on the horizon. Few days later, since the grand celebration of Chike's settlement and the surprise gift from Akobuzor to his 3 best friends, the joy and excitement of the day still lingered in the air. But for Nwabueze, something else was weighing on his mind. Early one morning, Ugochukwu and Kosisochukwu decided to visit Nwabueze at his house. They were eager to discuss how they could use the money Akobuzor had given to them to turn their businesses around. When they arrived at Nwabueze's house, they found him seated quietly on the porch, staring into the distance. He seemed deep in thought, and the usual smile that lighted up his face was nowhere to be seen. "Nwabueze, my brother, why do you look so worried?" Ugochukwu asked as they approached him. "You should be happy after what Akobuzor did for us." Kosisochukwu nodded in agreement. "Yes, we have been given a great opportunity to start afresh. What is troubling you?" Nwabueze sighed deeply and looked at his friends. "It's true that Akobuzor has done so amazing for us, and I'm very grateful," he began. "But I have been thinking, this village has never been favorable to me. No matter how hard I try, things don't seem to work out here." Ugochukwu and Kosisochukwu exchanged glances, sensed that Nwabueze had something more to say. "What are you thinking of doing?" Kosisochukwu asked gently. Nwabueze paused for a moment before answering. "I'm thinking of leaving this village and moving to the city," he said slowly. "I want to start a fresh life over there. Maybe the city will bring me the luck that I haven't found here." Ugochukwu and Kosisochukwu nodded thoughtfully. They understood where Nwabueze was coming from. Life in the village had been tough for them all, but the idea of moving to the city had never crossed their mind until now. "You know, Nwabueze, That's actually a good idea, Ugochukwu said after a moment. The city has more opportunities, and with the money Akubuzo gave us, we can start something new. Yes, I agree, Coach Sochukwu added. The city might be just what we need to turn things around. We can start fresh, build something big. Nwabeze's face brightened a little at their support. I'm glad you both agree, he said, but we need to talk to Akubuzo about this. He should know what we are planning. Later that evening, the three friends made their way to Akubuzo's house. The sun was setting, casting a warm glow over the village as they walked. Their minds filled with thoughts of what the future might hold. When they arrived at Akubuzo's house, he welcomed them in. Happy to see his friends, they all sat down, and after some light conversation, Nwabueze spoke up. Akubuzo, we have come to talk to you about something important. Nwabueze began, his tone serious. We have been thinking about what you did for us and how we can make the most of it. Akubuzo nodded, listening intently. Nwabueze has decided that he wants to move to the city and start a fresh life, Ugochukwu explained, and we have decided to join him. Akubuzo was silent for a moment, taking in their words. He understood their reasons and knew that they have been struggling for a long time. I understand why you want to go, Akubuzo said finally. The city have more opportunities, and I believe you all can succeed there. I'm happy that you are thinking about your future. He paused and looked at each of his friends with a warm smile. But as for me, I'm doing well here in the village. I have built my life here, and I have no reason to leave. This village is my home. His friends nodded in understanding. They knew that Akubuzo was deeply rooted in the village, and that his success had blossomed there. We will miss you, Akubuzo, Kosi Sochukwu said quietly. You have been more than a friend to us. You have been a brother. I will miss you all too, Akubuzo replied, his voice filled with emotion. But this isn't goodbye forever. We will keep in touch and will always be here for you, no matter where you are. The room fell silent as the reality of their decision sank in. Though they were parting ways, but the bond they shared will never be broken. As they sat together, they made a promise to always support each other, no matter the distance. The next day, the three friends began preparing for their move to the city, while Akubuzo continued his life in the village, proud of his friends for taking a bold step towards their future. A few days after making the big decision to leave the village, Nwabueze, Ugochukwu and Kosi Sochukwu packed their belongings and set off for the city. It was a bittersweet moment as they left behind the familiar comforts of the village and the friend who had supported them so much, Akubuzo. But they were excited about the new opportunities that awaited them. Before leaving, Nwabueze had reached out to his relative, Chuks, who lived in the city. Chuks was a kind and helpful man. When Nwabueze explained their situations, he immediately agreed to help them find a comfortable place to stay. Don't worry, Nwabueze, Chuks had said over the phone. I will make sure you and your friend have a good place to stay. The city can be overwhelming at first, but I will show you how things work here. When they arrived in the city, Chuks were there to welcome them. He took them to a modest but comfortable apartment that he had found for them. It was a busy part of the city, with shops and people everywhere. A stark contrast to the quiet life they were used to in the village. This is where you will stay, Chuks said, handing them the keys. It is not much, but it's a good start. Thank you so much, Chuks, Nwabeze said gratefully, "We really appreciate your help." The first few days in the city were a whirlwind of a new experiences. Chooks took the three friends around, showing them the important places in the city, the markets, the banks, and the places where they could buy and supply for their businesses. As they walked through the crowded streets, Nwabeze, Ugochukwu and Kosochukwu realized how different the city was from the village. The noise, the fast pace, and the sheer number of people were overwhelming at first, but they were determined to make the best of their new lives. "This place is so different from the village," Kosochukwu said one evening as they sat in their new apartment reflecting on their day. "Yes, it's like a whole new world," Ugochukwu agreed, "but we will get used to it. We have to, if we want to succeed here." Chooks didn't just stop at helping them find a place to live. He also helped them find shops where they could start their own businesses. He introduced them to people who could supply them with the goods they needed. And soon enough, the three friends were ready to begin their new ventures. The key to success is hard work and determination. Chooks advised them, "If you stay focused, you will make it." As the days turned into weeks, the friends threw themselves into the work. They spent long hours at their shops, learning how to navigate the challenges of the city. It wasn't easy, but they were driven by the desire to make the most of the opportunity Akobozo had given them. One evening, after a particularly busy day, Nwabeze received a call from Akobozo. "Nwabeze, how are you and the others doing?" Akobozo asked, his voice full of concern. "We are doing well, Akobozo," Nwabeze replied with a smile. "Chooks had been a great help. We have settled in and we have all started our businesses." "That's so wonderful," Akobozo exclaimed. "I'm so happy to hear that. I knew you all could do it." "We couldn't have done it without you, Akobozo," Nwabeze said sincerely. "We are working hard to make sure your gift doesn't go to waste." "I believe in you, Nwabeze," Akobozo said warmly. "Keep pushing and you will see great results." With Akobozo's word of encouragement echoing in their hearts, the three friends continued to work tirelessly. Day by day, they saw their businesses grow. Customers began to recognize them, and soon enough, word spread about the quality of their goods and their excellent customer service. Before long, the friends started seeing the fruit of their labor. Their businesses flourished, and they began to experience the success they had always dreamed of. They couldn't help but think back the day when Akobozo handed them those checks, believing in them when they were struggling. One day, as they gathered in their apartment to celebrate a particularly good week, Ugochukwu raised his glass to Akobozo, our brother and friend. He said, "Without him, we wouldn't have been here today." To Akobozo, Nwabeze and Kosochukwu echoed, their hearts filled with gratitude. As they sat together, reflecting on how far they had come, they knew that this was just the beginning. With hard work, determination, and the support of good friends, they had transformed their lives, and they were more determined than ever to continue building on the success they had achieved, making Akobozo proud and securing a bright future for themselves. 5 years has passed since Nwabeze, Ugochukwu and Kosochukwu had moved to the city to start their new lives. Their hard work had paid off, and now they were more successful than they had ever imagined. Their businesses were flourishing, and they had made smart investments all over the city. The three friends were swimming in wealth, and they often thought about the journey that had brought them here. One evening, as they sat together discussing their achievements, Nwabeze suddenly said, "It's been months since we last spoke to Akubuzo. He is the reason we are where we are today. I think it's time we pay him a visit." Ugochukwu nodded in agreement. "You are right. We owe him everything. Let's surprise him with a visit and show him how much we have grown." Coach Sochukwu smiled. "Yes, it's the least we can do. I'm sure he will be happy to see us." 2 days later, the three friends left the bustling city and made their way to the village where it all began. The journey was filled with memories of their past struggle and the hope that they could bring some joy to Akubuzo's life. When they arrived in the village, they went straight to Akubuzo's house. The familiar sights and the sound of the village brought back memories, but something felt different. As they approached Akubuzo's house, Nwabeze knocked on the door, and after a moment, Akubuzo stood in the doorway. His face a mix of shock and surprise. He couldn't believe his eyes. His three best friends were standing before him. After these years, "My brothers, is this really you?" Akubuzo exclaimed, his voice trembling with emotion. "Yes, it's us, Akubuzo," Ugochukwu said with a big smile, giving him a tight hug. "We have missed you so much." Coach Sochukwu added, "We thought it was time to come back and see how you are doing. It's been too long." But as they looked at Akubuzo more closely, their smiles faded. He didn't look like the strong, confident man they remembered. His clothes were worn, and there was a tiredness in his eyes that hadn't been there before. "Akubuzo, what happened to you?" Nwabeze asked gently. "You don't look well." Akubuzo sighed deeply and invited them inside. They sat down in the modest living room, and he began to speak, his voice heavy with sadness. "It's a long story," Akubuzo said, his gaze fixed on the floor. "A few years ago, I made a big deal with a supplier from China. It was supposed to be the biggest business move of my life, but things didn't go as planned. The supplier duped me, took all my money, and disappeared. Since then, I have been struggling to keep things together. My business fell apart, and I have barely been able to survive." The three friends listened in stunned silence, their hearts breaking for Akubuzo. They couldn't believe that the man who had always been their pillar of strength was now the one in need. "Why didn't you tell us, Akubuzo?" Coach Sochukwu asked, his voice filled with concern. "We could have helped you." "I didn't want to bother you," Akubuzo replied, shaking his head. "You were all just starting your new life in the city. I didn't want to drag you down with my problems." "But we are your friends, Akubuzo," Ugochukwu said firmly. "We would have done anything to help you." Nwabeze nodded. "We are not going to leave you like this. You helped us when we were at our lowest, and now it's our turn to help you." The three friends exchanged determined glances, and in that moment, they made a decision. They would not leave Akubuzo to suffer alone. He had been there for them when they had nothing, and now they will do the same for him. "Here is what we are going to do," Nwabeze said, his voice strong with resolve. "We are taking you back to the city with us. We will make sure you get the medical care you need, and then we will help you rebuild your business. You don't have to worry about anything, Akubuzo." Ugochukwu said, "We got your back, just like you had ours." Akubuzo's eyes filled with tears of gratitude. He had felt so alone for long, but now his friends were here, ready to stand by him once again. "I don't know what to say," Akubuzo whispered, his voice breaking. Thank you. Thank you so much. You don't have to say anything, Kosisochukwu said with a smile. We are family, and family takes care of each other. The next day, the four friends left the village and returned to the city together. Akobuzor received the care he needed, and slowly but surely, he began to regain his strength. With the support of his friends, he was able to rebuild his business. And before long, he was back on his feet, stronger and wiser than ever. And so, the story of these four friends came full circle. They had started with nothing but each other, and in the end, it was their friendship that made them truly rich. Together, they had faced life challenges and emerged victorious, proving that with true friendship by your side, no obstacle is too great to overcome. Lesson from this story is that true friendship is invaluable. Real friends are there to support each other through good times and bad times. When one is in need, the others step in to help, just as they knew their friends would do for them. This story teaches us that the strength of genuine friendship lies in mutual care, loyalty, and the willingness to lift others up, no matter the circumstances. In life, we should cherish and nurture such friendship, for they are a source of strength and resilience. Thank you for watching this amazing story. Please kindly like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. See you on the next video.